talent, Lady Verica Andrews and DJ Accident Report.
Hi everybody. That one has lipstick on it. Oh yeah.
Great.
So this is our first time moderating a panel, so we'll do our best to do our best. We don't know what's happening. So we are here to introduce 3 fantastic lady wrestlers who are, and just fantastic wrestlers. We don't even have to gender it. There are 3 beautiful wrestlers who are going to be talking to us. Please give it up for Lisa, formerly known in the WWE as Victoria. Perfect. We have, come on, and then Kat from the WWE, Katarina Lee. Look. And then for future ladies of wrestling, Candy Payne. Thank you guys for being here.
Oh gosh, for having us.
So we're here, in case anyone didn't know, to talk about the overlap between drag and wrestling, because there's a lot to cover there. Many of you, I hope, know about both drag and wrestling, but we wanted to start the discussion with the wrestlers. What do you see about your profession that parallels with drag?
Well, I mean, I guess the most obvious one would be that we do invent characters for ourselves that we then portray and perform. You know, and then I think also there are now drag performers also wrestling. Is that what you were mentioning? Boydie Roman.
Yes.
Yeah.
She's a girl of ours, yeah.
Yeah. And some others. So.
And we were talking about like Cat Night. Is this on? Hello? No?
I know.
Hello.
You gotta get super personal.
Okay.
Accident Report are sharing the mic, by the way.
I'm sorry.
No.
Okay, so I also think we were just talking about like who would have thought like DragCon would have come so far.
Oh my God.
Just like women wrestling, like now it's like in the front, like it's the thing now. It's the dominant division, just like DragCon, drag queens. For her and I, when we weren't really specifically booked for this, we kind of reached out to the wrestling guy store because we're such big fans. And I was like, oh my gosh, I gotta be a part of this. What is this DragCon? And so, for her and I, we're just like, how far we've come, like where it's not a closet love anymore. Both wrestling and drag queen, right? Like being a drag queen, it's like it's embraced and celebrated. Absolutely.
And lots of glitter involved.
Lots of glitter. Glitter challenge.
Big hair.
Yes.
Yeah.
Spandex.
Spandex, yes.
I think these are all
Yeah, a lot of Spanx involved.
Tucking, pushing.
Fake
Hair
hair,
pulling.
a lot of contouring, yes. Fake butts, fake butts. Yeah, it's an illusion, I'm telling you, it's not different.
Now, Katarina, you alluded to the creation of characters, and it's like, how, can you tell us a little bit about that? How much control you've had over your characters over the years, and et cetera, et cetera?
Well, it always depends on where you work. So if you're on the independent scene, you really have, a lot of free reign to create whatever character you want. And then I think the idea is, a lot of the time the idea is to create something that really speaks to, something, an aspect of your own personality that you can amp up. And that can be really super campy and over the top, like a, like a real made-up sort of
Future ladies in wrestling.
Like Candy.
like a caricature. Or, it could be something quite simple, or just that portrays you as a person. Some people just really borrow from their own personality in real life and then just bring that onto the stage and perhaps focus more on, their work in the ring or whatever. And then once you get to one of the other companies, it just depends, because WWE or TNA, they might see a character that you've already done and go, oh great, we need that. Or it could be the other way around, to even somewhere where they go, okay, we have a character in mind, who can we cast as this person, and then they might even say to you, hey, listen, we want you to play this character. But you can really always bring your own sort of flavor to it, because they don't.
It's almost like an exaggerated version of ourselves.
Mhm.
Like
Yeah.
for me, when I got my character, I didn't think I was psycho. Shut it! No,
I'm just
really-
agreeing.
I
I'm
was,
saying.
I was working in the ring, you know, and I was working with Fit Finley. He was mostly in charge of our era, and I was wrestling, and he goes, "Wow, you kind of dress like really crazy." And I go, I learned Memphis style, which is the way Memphis style is like, you know, when I grab someone's hair, I'll go, and it's over exaggerated because we want the back row to see. It's like if it's not televised, we want the back row to see. Oh my God, look at that! So I kind of trained a little bit too over the top, and I was really intense about facial expressions, and I was really great about the facial expressions. Every time I wrestled too, is I would say zoom in on my face after I hit this move. I'm just going to show you how I'm feeling right there.
Yes.
You know, it's a lot of emotion, you know, minus the Botox and, you know, the fillers, you know, but...
I didn't think about that
yeah,
lately.
but that's how I got my character was, you dress very psycho, and I think we're gonna push the psycho character, and so that's how I became obsessed with Trish. And for my character, you can't go too over the top, just like yours. We can push it until they say, okay, that's too much, but they never said too much. You know, they never did. They just go with it, and we're just like, oh, I'm gonna get a little bit more psycho, you know, and you know, it kind of.
Everybody could use a little bit more psycho.
Yes, agreed.
I'm thinking about the time that you guys were wrestling in, and I bet there was kind of a limited assortment of characters that women were really allowed to be at that time. And do you feel that that's changed recently?
Yeah, I mean, to an extent. I feel like it always goes up and down. Like I felt, because people have always said that to me, like, oh, they never used to let the girls wrestle, and now they let you wrestle and stuff. But I always felt like even when I was there that it went in waves.
Yeah.
So they would have, for weeks or months at a time, they would have this amazing, really strong storyline between these strong characters and a lot of promos and great matches and the pay-per-views and things like that. And then all of a sudden, you showed up and it was like, okay, we're doing a 6-girl tag match and you've got to be dressed as skimpily as possible.
Yes,
So it was
bra and panties match,
yeah, it was like always back and
A what
forth.
panties
And
match?
just really feel-
And also too, like since Glow is back too with the characters and stuff like this,
Yeah.
I feel like our generation, like when I was in my era, there were a little bit more certain characters, you know, like Jackie Moore was like, and Jazz were like, I'm gonna kill you. That was their like, you know, which they were scary wrestlers. They were tough and bad.
More polarized.
Yeah, and like I was Psycho, and then you get the Barbie doll, you get the model, you get the Playboy, and I think, you know, Charlotte is a good example. I like her showmanship. I get goosebumps when I see her enter. It's like, you know, because I am a Ric Flair mark, and I am. And you do want to see more, like, oh, I want her to turn more character driven. Do you know what I mean? Like more of what Glow was. You know, you get this caveman, you get that. I do miss that because I was like a big fan of 80s wrestling and just having different characters. And it's hard to go cookie cutter, you know? Like
Yeah.
we were trying to fight that back in our generation too. It's like, oh, they just hired another Playboy model. Like they just hired another model. Like, okay, I don't fit that bill. I'm a big girl. I was like, so like, how am I gonna make, okay, maybe I take the back burner, but you have to, for where we're at, we always had to fight for our spot. You know, it's just, am I, you know, when we're new, am I good enough to stay here? You know, I'm a rookie. Am I impressing Vince? Am I impressing the writers, the agents? When we're middle, we're like, is my repertoire getting better? Do I deserve to stay here? And then when you're a legend or a veteran, and which is weird, it's my job is to make that girl look good. And if I mess up, I mean, or the match gets a little bit wonky, you know, it's not perfection, right? The blame goes on the vet. Well, why did she mess up on the suplex? Oh, well, I said suplex. I don't know, you know, you're not a magician, right? I'm going off on tangents, by the way. ADHD at its finest.
Although, what I'm also finding now is that sometimes I'll have a match and it doesn't go as well as I wanted to, and I'll feel responsible. But because I've been around for so long and situation, you know, I get to back and I'll be like, well, you know, she was a bit, you know, queen. So I get the benefit of the doubt.
Yeah, they blame the green girl usually. Yeah, but it's also terrible. You know, when you do have a bad match. I'm so sorry, like I'm going off on tangent.
No, please, we'll rein you in a second.
When you have a bad match, regardless if it's her fault or my fault, you still, I don't know, I'm a perfectionist, and man, I can't have a bad match. I pride myself to go, I want these freaking fans to stand on their feet and go, oh my God, that was the best match I've ever seen. Not best female match, best match on the card.
Absolutely.
So, you know, so,
I'm
I'm looking at that. No, but it's like, you know, you still like blame yourself, and then for us, it's like, I don't let it go. I don't know about you, Kat. I kill myself for like a couple days. I'm like, oh, I gotta have a better match next time. Even if it's a different girl, you know what I mean?
I get over it. You just it depends where it is, obviously. So,
Yeah.
I do want to circle back to character creation, just because we talked about whether like newer characters have more leeway, and I want to see what Candy has to say about that.
Yeah, same.
Candy?
I'm really excited about the Future Ladies in wrestling. I think it's very
Yeah, maybe tell us also a little bit more about the league too while you're talking about yourself, if you can manage that.
We're so lucky to be woman-owned and operated, so we don't have to worry about all of this. I'm a multiversal, universal champion. That's pretty nice. Yeah, so we're really lucky that we get to come and be our true selves and bring to the ring what we want to bring without the male gaze involved. It's all us, what we want to see, what we want to do. So it is very much inspired by the original Glow with the big characters and the...
That's exciting.
Yeah.
It's exciting to watch that, you know what I mean?
There's so much
being in
beauty.
control of your own, being in control of your own match, sorry. Being in control of your own match is just, it's awesome, you know?
It
Like, you know, we
changes
had a
everything.
lot of rules, you know, like, you know, don't go outside the ring, don't do this, don't that, you know, and, you know, accidents happen, but, you know,
Yeah.
it's so nice, and it's women owned, so that's.
We got a head bitch in charge.
Yeah, yes.
So who's Candy Payne?
Candy Payne loves to wrestle and she hates men.
Luckily I'm not a man.
So you read my Bumble profile.
Now, how did each of you get involved in terms of, like, you talked a little bit about your character came from being sort of psycho in general, but can we talk more about how each of you were involved in the specific creation of the character that you brought to the stage? Like, how did you make your drag, you know?
Well, I've been several different characters. So when back when I first started, I was just really quite generic, to be honest. I'm quite generic, kind of baby face. I was the only girl, so that made me stand out. So I was wrestling guys for the first 4 years of my career. So that was pretty awesome, because I had the spotlight on me.
Yes.
Naturally. You know, and then when I came to WWE, I was in OVW training, and that was really the first time where I got to really feel that I was in charge of my character. And I was a proper heel for the first time, which I loved, and I just invented this Katie Lee person. She was just really an arrogant bitch, thought she was the Queen of England. And I had a little book that I found somewhere in a thrift store, I think, with a book of insults, like really clever insults. So
The first reading challenge.
So I sifted through that book, and I would pick out, we had promo class once a week, and I would sift out ones that I liked, and I would use them in my promos, and I wrote a little weekly blog as my character, and so I used those, and that kind of helped me, define the character intellectually, because she was, a bitch, but she was also clever in that sense, even though I borrowed some of my ideas, and
What was
then,
the book? Do you remember?
I can't, it was 1,000 Greatest Insults or something like that. But I lost it. And
I had that joke when I was a kid.
And I've been looking for one like it ever since. I haven't quite found like the right one yet, but yeah.
When you find this book.
Yeah, it was really clever. And then in TNA, for example, it was Vince Russo called me and said, "Hey, I have this idea for a character. Her name's Winter. She's basically, it's implied that she's a vampire, etc." And he pretty much wrote the whole thing, and I went out and I bought her a wardrobe and decided how she would try and walk, kind of thing. And now I'm back in Impact. I'm again a completely different character because I am. There's a wrestler called Grado who's from Scotland, and he's kind of more like a comedy act. And I am now his girlfriend. So that comes with a completely different, again, completely different look, completely different character. So I'm just still working on finding her.
Oh, well, like you were saying, I kind of just took the attributes that I naturally am inclined to and just amped them up a little bit. I'm not wearing a wig. That's me.
Me neither.
And candy painting, I get to go with the times. It feels like such an important time right now to be critical of toxic masculinity and to have strong women performing and, yeah, just in the ring and creating art and being visible.
Yes.
Yes.
Can we get an amen?
Like, you know, my character, I wasn't too controlled of it. I just was trying to push it as much as I can. What was the single white female? I watched that. And then I studied Sherry Martel and then Ivory, and like there were certain mannerisms of old school wrestlers I was like trying to pick up. And again, like I said, I was not a cookie cutter wrestler. I was very muscular. I was not the feminine kind of chick, you know. So I was more not the talker. I'm the action girl and facial expressions. And my action was, you come to the ring and I'm gonna teach you a lesson kind of thing too. And I'm gonna push the limit. So I really, the control thing, until I went to TNA, you know, I got there and they're like, you're gonna be a good guy. I go, I don't like being a good guy. I mean, it's really boring to me. It's like, I mean, go around shaking hands, you know, kissing babies and stuff like that. You know, it's not unique. I mean, like, I was like, how do I be a big guy? I'm such a better bad guy.
Yeah.
And yeah, so they would turn me back and forth. And then when my contract expired, I don't know if you know this, they forgot to have me sign the contract again. That's why I was off TV. They were like, why'd you disappear for a month or so? They would forget to ask me to sign it. And they're like, oh, you're just signing. I go, well, I gotta have the lawyer. I go, I'm not gonna just sign here, you know? And yeah, right?
That's
Crazy,
some shady shit.
Yeah, and then they asked me, when I did end up signing again, they asked me, what do you want to come back as? And we want to reinvent your character. And I'm like, this is stupid, but I was like, I was obsessed with Undertaker, and so I wanted to come down in a motorcycle. Yes. So but I had to pay for that motorcycle. No.
Can I ask you a favor?
No, they go, great, do you have a motorcycle? I go, no. But thank God, okay, this is crazy. Okay, sounds crazy. Okay, because I'm crazy.
Psycho.
Japan, the president of Honda was a fan of mine, and I wanted to ride Honda because when I was a kid, I rode my first sport bike was a Honda dirt bike racing, and he goes, oh, Victoria's on, and so I just had to pay taxes on it. But it's still a lot of money for me, like, you know, TNA budget, that kind of stuff too. But yeah, I got that donated to me. But but
That's amazing.
Isn't that amazing? So I got to ride a motorcycle only like 20 feet.
I mean, that's 20 more feet than I've ever done.
Yeah.
Can I ask you a favor? Can you serve me your favorite face?
My face?
Yeah.
I just had Botox, but okay.
I'm like angry.
Yeah.
I'm like if someone like more is like I would grab you like the throat and I'm like you know like.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay.
If anyone else in the panel has a signature move they want to do right now.
Does anyone want to inflict violence upon us? We really hate ourselves, so let's go for it. I was joking, but here we go.
It's happening!
Alright, we can do this.
Oh my God! What is happening? She tapped, you gotta let go. You gotta rap, Jesus Christ.
Thank you, that was psychotic.
Something like that would happen.
Oh my God, you didn't even tell me. Wait, future tag teams being created right now. Book it. Something I was curious about, because you mentioned intergender wrestling before, and that's become like a fairly controversial topic, especially with the WWE sort of refusing to go there and then kind of backtracking with the recent Ronda story. So I'm curious where you guys fall on this debate about intergender wrestling and whether you think it's acceptable, violent, whatever.
Well, I don't think it's an issue for me of it being like acceptable whether men and women should compete in the wrestling ring, because people are saying, no, the argument is like, oh, does it promote domestic violence or what? It's ridiculous. No more than it would promote domestic violence anyway between same-sex partners, or even, I mean, if you go and see a movie, there's boys and girls fighting each other all the time and nobody says a thing. That's the thing too with when people go, oh, wrestling's fake. Like, you don't go and watch a movie and go, yeah, it could have been good, but it was fake. You don't look at it like that. You appreciate it for the art, and then that's what wrestling is. And I think maybe wrestling has struggled for so long in part because it's trying to keep up the facade of it being real, when like if they would just had maybe come out sooner and be like, no, it's a performance, it's an art, and then people could appreciate it for that and see that that's actually where the art and the difficulty and the skill lies. Anyway, I went off the topic a little bit.
No, that's great. It's funny too because it's like we're at a drag convention and no one would ever say like, I didn't like drag, they weren't real women. It's like, well, duh, it's fake. Like that's the point.
When I started like in wrestling, I remember taking a Stevie kick by Stevie Richards, and I didn't stay down enough. Okay, I didn't sell it much. I mean, I was supposed to be. When a guy hits you, you're supposed to be completely knocked down and almost carried to the back. And I remember going back through the gorilla, the curtains, and they were like, I got in trouble for it. And it scared me. I was like, I'm getting fired. I mean, I was like, yeah, you're supposed to be dead. He just kicked you. And I was like, oh, I thought I was down for a little bit, because in wrestling school I wrestled guys too. So I was like brainwashed, like when a guy touches you, you're down. And you're like, you oversell it. You're like, oh, you know what I mean? So when I started doing more intergender stuff, when a guy hit me in the face, they're like, but you're bigger than I am. And I go, oh, God, okay, yeah, you're right, okay. So he would go down, like when I started doing more intergender, they would sell more for me because I was a bigger girl or whatever. But it's amazing how much it has changed. And I did a show, Chikara Pro. Anybody familiar? Yes, right? Okay, you Google it, Chikara Pro. It's you'll love it.
I'm
It's very like
that
that
Labor Day
characters.
weekend.
It's like, huh?
I'm going to do that Labor Day weekend.
Oh, yes!
Word.
Oh my God. It's the
Oh,
best.
we should go.
It's the best. Okay, and so I went to the meeting before, and Quackenbush is the promoter. He just said, I don't promote girl wrestling. I don't promote boy wrestling. You guys are all powerful and equal, and I don't care who you wrestle. You guys are all amazing wrestlers. And like he did such like his speech at the beginning. I said, do you want him to hit me in the head with a chair? I'll do that for you. I was willing to do anything for this guy because that's.
You're gonna make me cry. I'm gonna cry.
It was so empowering.
That's
It was so empowering. Like I was like, oh, you're so right. So it changed my view on that. So I am wrestling a guy coming. Carmella's ex-manager.
Nice.
Oh,
Elsewhere.
yes.
What?
Yes.
When? Where?
Title for the intergender
Title.
title? Oh my God, I want that title. That would be good.
Oh yes. We're just making shit happen up here.
And I didn't know I was booked until I saw him at WrestleCon on WrestleMania weekend. He goes, hey, we're wrestling in a couple months. And I go, huh, I had no idea because I never asked, like, what am I doing? Hey, we'd like to book you in a wrestling match. You're like, okay, great, I'm there. You know what I mean? That's how it usually happens,
Yeah.
Oh, and I think on that note, we all know gender is a construct, right?
Yep.
There we go, getting deep in here.
Well, let's go there.
Do we want to talk more about wrestling-y stuff, or do we want to go into gender?
I don't know.
No, Berka, you wrote down the next question. Do you want to take us there?
It has nothing to do with gender or anything. It's gonna
That's
be very
fine.
like heel or face preference. Yeah, you did say that.
I have always more enjoyed being a heel, but then recently I did a match. It was actually the Impact One Night Only show. I was going to wrestle Tyra, and they told me, and I was like, you're gonna be a baby face? And I was like, what? And they were like, can you? And I'm like, well, I'm not gonna hop to the ring. And they said, well, no, you don't need to do that. And then I wrestled as a face, and I actually really enjoyed it. Because I think too, because when I first started, I used to do a lot of like high flying, but a lot of, stuff that guys would base me for stuff, obviously, like this and that. And so, and because then wrestling girls, most of the time, like, we're taller than everybody and kind of bigger than most of the girls too, so I haven't really gotten to do that.
Yeah.
So then all of a sudden being able to be based for some more like
More
flying
lucha,
stuff or
like
whatever.
lucha stuff. It's not in our repertoire.
Right.
It's bigger girls.
Yeah, and then selling was really fun. I was like, actually this was really fun. So I am now.
Do they usually tell you like right before a match starts whether you're working face or heel?
No, usually you know before. It was just because that I hadn't worked with that company in a long time, and I came there assuming I was going to be a heel, and then I was kind of surprised by it, but I ended up really enjoying it. So.
I'm a face. But I am very inspired always by the heels of Flow because they're pantsing the refs, they're drinking toxic waste. It's very, I'm like, they are cool.
All right.
Do you have another glow pop? I'm just kidding.
I want to circle back to another topic that we sort of touched on earlier, and this is another way that drag and wrestling overlap, is the idea of like having a drag mom or a drag family or someone who like takes you under their wing, like shows you the ropes, and each of you sort of referenced people who inspired you or who like taught you the way, and I would love to hear more about like who guided you and inspired you. Who's your like your wrestling mom, if that or your drag family?
For me, when I got in the business, I started off as a Godfather hoe. I was escorting a guy that, Godfather, and it was just the girls that hyped the crowd up and that kind of thing. And they used to get their talent from local strip clubs. And you're not going to get extremely, like every strip club is not going to have the tents, right? And that's what Vince, that's what Vince wants, and so they want to hire permanent hoes. And so I remember,
We're changing our name from the Nobodies to Permanent Hoes, everyone.
That was my foot in the door. And I remember, they didn't know I signed a contract. I was going to wrestling school. I put my stuff, since I signed a contract, I put my stuff in the locker room. And I come back, after going to the ring and mess around and that kind of stuff. Come back and my stuff is like all shoved on the floor and my suitcase is out the door. And one of the girls came out and go, I'm sorry, this is for contracted girls only. And it was WWF at the time. And I was like, okay. And I didn't make eye contact, I just walked away and I just said, okay, I just signed a 3-year deal. And I just walked, and I said, I didn't want to ruffle any feathers. You want to get along with everybody. And I got dressed in the janitors. And then and to this day, I will never treat a human like that. I was like, every new girl came in, I was like, please drive with me. I'll show you. We'll go to the gym, we'll wake up. It was being bullied. And Ivory came and said, hey, me to the other girl, her name was really Frosty, her character was Mandy. Why do you change that name, right? Frosty. Perfect name, right? And so she goes, let me ride with you guys and show you the ropes. We go to the gym when we wake up, then we go eat breakfast, we get to the building at a certain time. So she's the one that really took me under her wing and was I want to wrestle you, you know, it was so refreshing, and I learned a lot from her, so I love that moment. It's finally, she's like in the Hall of Fame, you know what I mean? She deserved it a long time ago, you know? But, that's my moment.
For me, not really sure. I don't really like have a wrestling mom so much. Like
Mom can be a dad.
Yeah. I don't really, when I came to WWE, I had, because I had my storyline brother, so we were like riding together, so we're kind of like a team effort. I didn't really feel this, yeah, Paul Bradshaw. But I would like to mention that one of the women that I always looked up to and kind of thought maybe I could emulate was you.
You were her wrestle mom all along. Happy Mother's Day, everyone.
Well, I kind of feel like that, obviously, you know, a similar type physically, but then also just what you kind of show as being like the strong, badass woman, and also just the way that you do take younger girls under your wing, and you are always so kind to girls coming up, and always, like what you were saying about making people good in the, like look good in the ring that are maybe less experienced than you. That's how you are, and so that's a really great role model to have in wrestling. And I will never forget the first time that I met you. I was in OVW, and we were riding somewhere to a show, and we stopped at a Cracker Barrel, and for some reason some of the WWE people were there, and you were there, and you came in, and you were introducing yourself, and then I introduced myself to you, and you go, "Oh, Katie Lee, I've heard about you," and I went, "Victoria!" So anyway, so that was special, but anyway, you're a very special person. Honored off the road.
That was beautiful. I got out of the evil stepmother. I learned to wrestle with Doom Maidens, and Bibi was like my coach, and she did not like to lose, so I never won, and I got pinned a lot. A lot.
Work.
Very sore, yeah.
That's a learning experience.
Yeah, I'm thankful.
Everybody loves a stepmom.
Yeah.
So I wanted to change gears for a second and bring up something a little more controversial. So I guess it was earlier, was it last month? Last month, April, the WWE held a greatest battle royale in Saudi Arabia, and it was, despite their, presentation of a women's revolution, they featured no women on the card whatsoever. And they chalked it up to local customs about modesty, and I guess I'm just wondering, where do you fall in terms of the WWE stance on their kind of women's evolution, and do you have any thoughts about that controversy?
Well, I feel, I didn't know too much about it, but I feel that if they're going to go there, and that local custom exists, that should be respected. I mean, I don't feel that they should have gone there and tried to, crush that tradition. They could either make the choice not to go there, or they could make the choice to go and then respect whatever the culture that it takes.
I don't think should not have had a women's match. We could have done it, in normal workout gear, that kind of thing, if they were so opposed to cleavage and showing skin and stuff like that. But do you remember like when they went to India and we were not allowed to go there too?
Oh,
And
what was this?
this was when I was there. And I was like, why? We're part of this roster too. And it is hurtful, but then you're like, okay, they're custom, and you do have to respect that. I don't agree with it, but what are you supposed to do?
So that wave is the wave is cresting again.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's still, yeah.
I think it's pretty messed up that they're just like, well, we won't bring the women.
I know.
Like they aren't part of the team and the family, and they aren't as valuable, or like, because there's no way they would be like, oh, this show could be without the men, right?
Yeah.
Right,
Like that's the
absolutely.
whole show.
Yes, they could.
They could, we'd love it.
Yeah.
But if it was a parallel universe or whatever, and there was a country where men weren't allowed to wrestle, then and it would be the other way around. Would you still say they don't have to. I mean, I feel like you can't break the local.
Do you think it's because of the attire, like we're showing too much skin? Like it's too sexist?
I think it's even more strict than that in that they literally were like women can't be in public without their husbands. So it was even more restrictive than just showing skin. I think.
Because I think they'd had a show before where the women could wrestle, but they had to be fully covered.
Yeah, Sasha Banks and Alexa Bliss wrestled in full bodysuits. I can't remember what country that was in, but they were not allowing that at the most recent show.
Dubai.
But I guess that helps us pivot to the next question, which is more about just, there's been a lot of talk lately about LGBT people in wrestling and when we'll see a real full-fledged gay wrestling character. Do you see that happening in the near future? Do you see it far off? How do you think the company should handle it? How do you think
Well, when
people...
you say full-fledged gay character, do you mean somebody portraying somebody flamboyantly gay, like by what people might think the stereotype is?
I guess that's what I'm wondering, because it could be.
Because they have done that.
Right.
Orlando, and also Cassandra from Mexico. But also, there are some wrestlers who are openly gay who just wrestle as a wrestler. They just happen to be gay, like it's Jake. I know, it sounds funny, but like a lot of, traditionally it's, a lot of men that were wrestlers have hidden it because their opponents might feel weird about it. But then we have, Jake Atlas, who just recently picked up an awards and best wrestler in California or something. But he doesn't necessarily come out in what people might perceive would be gay. He just comes out as a wrestler and wrestles. So, I don't know which one specifically.
I guess the controversy started because most recently they've been putting Finn Balor in a lot of rainbow gear. And there was a rumor that the WWE was going to be rewriting him as a non-stereotypical gay character. And the extent to which that is a form of positive representation to have a straight man play a gay character, or whether they should just hire a gay person to do it, or whether they should just not do it at all, has been kind of a debate recently.
I don't like straight people playing gay people. Tons of queer wrestlers, give those people jobs. I mean that in every aspect of entertainment. Hire me.
I don't necessarily agree with that in all aspects. I feel like if it's theater or a movie, I think a gay person can play a straight person and vice versa. In wrestling, maybe because people do feel that the person, the identity of the person and the character that they're playing are almost the same.
I think what it is that historically, if you come out, then you are just, your career's ruined in all aspects of entertainment, and we haven't had the chance to play ourselves. And I think that's what's happening right now.
We've had a lot of emotional wrestling times here.
I'm also just tired and emotional.
To take just a deep breath, please do that now. We're all here to feel.
Maybe a scream. We can all do
Let's scream. Who wants to scream?
Remember, like to scream together, guys.
You want to lead this, Candy?
Yeah.
Right.
In through the nose. Out through the mouth. In through the nose.
Oh.
We're building up. Out through the mouth. Here we go. In through the nose.
It feels so good.
I appreciate how you're not do that.
Yeah, so I mean, swinging back around, Katarina, I do agree with you. Being a trained theater person, comedian, that sort of thing. Now this, whatever this is. I do agree with you. It is possible for a human to jump into another human's body. However, we just haven't had that chance. And I think that's the debate that's going on right now. And so we should have those chances. And there's plenty of people out there to hire.
And then there's in Discovery Wrestling, I just worked them, and they have drag queens, escorting and he's openly gay.
You want to be a manager?
Oh my, yeah. Oh my, it was, oh my God, it was so amazing. I was like, we need to bring this to the States. Why is this in Scotland and it's not here? You know what I mean? So it's like, it is upsetting, and oh, it was so amazing. And then, of course, afterwards we go to the drag queen performances and stuff like that.
It's also great because it turns that masculinity that's so ingrained in wrestling upside down a little bit. If you're having drag queens lead you in, who, you know, could be women or could be men or just genderless.
But that guy was he was a badass wrestler. The guy that, you know, it's not, he wasn't portrayed as being like weak in any way, and it was so refreshing to see that there. You know, and I understand we don't, you know, that's in Scotland. Why don't we see it here? It's a little bit more badassy there. Other people a little bit more abrasive there than here.
There is something about like specifically American wrestling too that feels more maybe homophobic in the sense that, like you said, Cassandra is a face and widely beloved, and the Golden Lovers even in Japan are so popular, but here we kind of can't figure it out, huh? Yeah, it's fucked up.
Wrestling is so homoerotic, and especially professional wrestling with
Really?
the spandex and the neon, that they can't handle if it's actually really gay. Like they have to play this hyper masculine thing, and I think allowing, once our culture becomes less homophobic, it's going to allow for gay wrestling.
Now, sort of piggybacking off of that, like it's in the same way, like you have a character, you are healing your face, you have these sort of ways that you are. Has the drag of it ever restricted part of how you'd like to wrestle, or like sort of caged in something you'd otherwise like to do? Has the drag ever been an obstacle as opposed to a way to tell a story? No, and if not, yeah, how do you use the drag to tell the story?
I think for me it has a little bit.
Yeah, tell me more.
Because, well, for example, like when I started TNA as Winter, who was it, by the way, was a lesbian character.
Yes.
At the beginning, they were like, we don't really want you to wrestle because I was like this thing from out at a different time, whatever. So it was more like, you know, you just come in and you fight, but you're not really doing wrestling moves sort of thing. So that was a little bit difficult for me to transition. You know, that's kind of what was dictated to me, I guess. You know, in terms of like the style that I wrestle. And then sometimes I feel too, through the heel and face categories, sometimes it's a little bit to where you feel like that a heel shouldn't be doing certain moves or vice versa. So I do feel that it could be a little bit restrictive, but that's maybe my own projection to where I shouldn't allow it to restrict me as much as I sometimes do.
Interesting.
That's part of wrestling, we overthink everything.
Henny. I think that's a good time. We're about to wrap up. We want to do some audience's questions. Yeah. So do we have anybody that has questions for the ladies? Oh, hop right up. Good night, everyone.
Thanks for using my full legal name.
You're welcome.
Thank you guys so much for coming. Real quick, I was wondering if the wrestlers wouldn't mind telling us who their favorite drag queen is, and if the queens wouldn't mind telling us who their favorite wrestler is outside of this panel.
Miss Manchi. I love all the queens, really. I was like trying to make a list because I'm like, I bet someone's gonna ask this, and I was like, can I do top 10? And it was, I love Chi-Chi, Kimchi, Shea,
I'm a big fan of Kimchi.
Katya. This season, I love Monet Exchange.
New York?
I'm not really a particularly, like I don't know all the names of people. I've seen the show a couple of times, but I just love the whole thing.
Yeah.
But
You can just say Lady Barricade. It's fine.
And she's your favorite.
Oh, yeah, but she said specifically the panel excluded.
I sure
Whatever, forget it.
But if I may be like super obvious or whatever, I was just talking about that yesterday, how much I actually do love RuPaul as a person from what I see from, you know, his tweets, but also as a presentation of how he so perfectly embodies both genders and how, you know, it's not just like as his male persona, he's such a strong, sharp, persona, but then as a drag queen, also just so uber glamorous, but having those both sides of the yin and yang equally strong, and just the general, message of the peace and love, and he loves Judge Judy, so.
Yes.
If there's anybody else, line up. We just have a couple more minutes.
Yeah, and kimchi.
Kimchi.
Yes, absolutely. Yes.
Audience question.
Wait, do you want to say
Favorite
your
wrestlers?
wrestlers?
Oh, yeah. Oh, we did get asked
Our favorite
questions.
wrestlers? No, I'm just gonna go quick and say Asuka.
Finn, baby. Finn, baby. Finn Balor, baby. Mm.
Not ours though, right?
You have too many favorites.
I'm not a drag queen or a wrestler, so I just don't answer this question.
True. You found that loophole. Do you have any other questions from the audience?
I have a question.
Yes, come up. Don't be shy, guys. We just have a couple more minutes, so here's your chance.
So far, hold on.
You got it.
Start yelling now!
Okay, so my question is, like, at what point were you guys like, I made it? And what's been your proudest moment?
Still waiting.
That's not, it's true. I told you, like, when you're there and you're like still been there for years and years, you're still trying to prove yourself going, do I deserve to stay here? So you have that, I tell people, the most insecure people on the planet are wrestlers. We are like, am I fat? Am I young enough? I'm not on a wrinkle. My hair, I the extensions. I mean, it's so much like, there's so much like, it's really tough. You're always getting criticized by the fans. And the fans can be extremely cruel, and they forget that we do a live performance and we get one take. We don't get to do a different angle and stuff like that. And when they tear you up, it does hurt our feelings, and it's like, we always like, well, maybe I shouldn't be here. You always question yourself. So when did we make it? I don't.
Let's build each other
Hard
up, guys.
question.
Let's
It
build
is
each
a
other
really
up.
hard, and it's hard to answer because I feel like you. When am I gonna make it? Isn't that weird? It's really bonkers. That's how.
I feel like I made it when they invited me to do a panel at DragCon. Also doing the runway at 3 o'clock.
Yes. Speaking of which, we've got to get her out of here pretty soon. So let's do this one more question.
What has been your most memorable match, and who is your favorite person that you've ever wrestled with?
Perfect.
I have a lot. There's different stuff. It's just like, Trish and I, we had an agreement, you just lay it in. We really physically really pushed the limit, and we always wanted to like outdo the guys. We had, my favorite match was Chicago Street Fight, and it's because when girls were allowed to do hardcore, and we were kind of changing. We could do like the cage matches and stuff. But Gail Kim was a flyer, Molly Holly was a grappler. There were just different certain people you enjoyed working because it was a different style. You know what I mean? So, but there's a few that you don't enjoy because, some of us are a little bit stiffer, then I'm a little snug. I lay a little bit on, and some of them can't take it. So those are the people that you don't really enjoy working so much, and they're so fragile.
Gotcha. Katarina?
Yeah, for me, I always feel like there's a few wrestlers, especially in the women's division, because sometimes we were given, not as visible spots or shorter times or whatever. And then there's always like two types of people. Like the one type of people that go, all right, whatever, we'll just do what we can. And then there's the other type of person who goes, we're gonna make these 3 minutes the best that you've ever seen.
Work.
I tend to be one of the former, but
Just lay
I'm
it.
naturally lazy, but there's some that really impress me that always want to push, and that's people like you, Mickey James, Beth Gail Kim, people like that who are like, all right, they're putting us in lingerie, all right, well, we're gonna let that hold us down. We're still gonna kill each other. We're still gonna do the best that we can do when everybody else is like, oh, all right, we won't even give them what they want. But
Candy. You gotta
This is
run.
my match with flesh-eating Corculus because I wrestled a cannibal and I live to tell the tale.
Yes, ma'am! Oh my god, we want to thank you all so much for being here. Candy's gotta run to the runway. If you want to go see future ladies of wrestling on the runway, you gotta run! Yeah, I think so, yeah. Thank you guys. We're the Nobodies. Thank you to Victoria, Katarina. 527. Thank you, Candy Cane. Great. Come see us.
Thank you so much, everybody.
Thank you.
We're at booth 1543, Black Phoenix Alchemy Lab. If you want to come say hi.